Okay, I want to welcome everyone to this virtual presentation. My name is Brian Weesies. I'm the general manager at Mast Young Plants, and we usually exhibit at your show in Wisconsin, and have always really enjoyed that show. So this year we're doing this presentation. I'm going to walk through these slides with you and just really try to focus a little bit on who we are as a rooting station. We do some things a little different, and we have just our way of doing business. We have some programs and things we work on that I think set us apart a little bit from some other rooting stations. So I want to take you through those, and then at the end I'm going to wrap it up with some new varieties that are doing well in our trial garden. So we'll go ahead and start. Move on to the next slide. Okay, so the first slide here, I just wanted to touch on our customer service here at Mast Young Plants. They get a lot of praise for just doing a great job, and I always like to mention that because they really do a good job. Our customer service is one where you're not going to get a phone call, um, or you're not going to call into our office and get an automated person telling you to press one for Brian or two for Angie. You're going to get a live person, and they're in our office. We're Eastern Standard Time, and they are here at 7 a.m., so they're here good and early, and they're here until 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, and quite often in the busy season, they're here on Saturdays as well. So you can usually get a hold of one of us, and they do some things to just make your life as customers hopefully a little easier. You can see the first bullet point. They coordinate pickups if people are coming here to our building to pick up. They coordinate truck deliveries. They call each customer, let them know roughly when that truck should be arriving. The second bullet point, they will call customers to try to fill boxes. We try to make sure that when you're paying freight on a box that we're not shipping air, and we will call directly to you and let you know that. And then also, we like to reach right out to you, the customer, and it's okay for you, the customer, to call our office. That third bullet point, if we make any order changes that you've called directly into our office, our customer service will note that on the paperwork, and they will acknowledge your sales rep, and it won't be a surprise or a shock to your rep because they'll see that you called in and added a tray or wanted a sub or something like that. So again, just want to make sure people are aware that we really do our best to try to have a personal contact with you, our customer. Um, FedEx orders, we ship a lot of trays out FedEx. Um, we use a 1 and 2 day service for that, and we'll take orders pretty late for that. If you get information to your rep, sometimes we say Thursday 5 p.m. This presentation says Friday 6 a.m. Basically, what that means is, the Carlin office is an hour different than us. If an order came in after 5 our time, we would catch that first thing in the morning and still try to get those shipped out. Master boxes, it's a little bit earlier because we start some of that paperwork a little bit earlier. And yeah, we want you to know that we don't want to be a hindrance to you getting some last minute plants if you're looking for something. Um, we also um, ship tags with our plants. That was something I wanted to mention. This past season, there were some issues with tag shortages. Some young plant growers will use a managed tag inventory system so they won't stock the tags. They'll ship you the plants, and then the tag supplier ships you the tags in a separate shipment. We do our best to get those tags to you right in the box with those plants, and that way you open them up, you got your plants, you got your tags, and you can just get going on potting. So just took a little picture of our tag room. It's really hard to show. That's probably only like not even a quarter, an eighth of the tag room, and it's right now when the inventory is pretty low. Normally those shelves are stacked full with tags. So yeah, just know that we're going to do our best to get you those tags. I put this slide in here more just to mention that just like every liner we ship, we have to have a way to get those tags and pull those tags. So this is our it's called a material picking list, and we will use this to pull all those tags. So one crew's out in the greenhouse pulling liners, and one group's in our tag room pulling tags, and then it all comes together on the boxing line where they all go in the box and head to you, the customer. Wanted to mention that we will be working with UPS a little bit in 2022. We historically have always been FedEx, and there were some issues with the FedEx supply chain this winter. Some of the storms that came through really crippled their network, and it caused us to have to delay quite a few shipments, and we just didn't have a backup option this current year. We didn't have a way to get you those plants other than FedEx. So by getting UPS connected to our PICA system, it allows us, if that were to ever happen again, to say, okay, FedEx won't take them. UPS, can you take them? And in this current year, when the problem occurred, UPS was able to keep shipping, and we would flip them over and ship them to you that way. In this slide here, it actually shows the master box there on the forklift, and UPS, that's the one downside. They don't have a freight system like FedEx where they can't ship that big box, but they can ship our other boxes, which make up probably about 35% of our total shipping. So for sure, just know that we're going to do everything we can to prevent a weather disruption like we had in the past. And I didn't put the slide in here, and I should have, now that I'm talking with you guys with the Carlin group. We also do some truck deliveries to the Carlin hubs, and that's something your Carlin office and your sales reps will work with you on. If you want to pick up at a Carlin facility, say in Milwaukee or in Minneapolis, we work with the office to actually have our truck bring those trays to the warehouse, and then they're picked up there. So always know that we do ship on trucks if you're a big customer and you have more than 50 trays on an order. But if you're not and you don't live too far from a Carlin warehouse, that's another option that your sales rep can work with you on. I wanted to mention that we carry speculative availability. In this day and age when everyone's watching things super close and monitoring shrink and overstart, we do as well, but we really have seen a value in purposely adding extra production into our system so that if there's a last minute order, it's not a problem for us. We can take it. When I talked about us taking orders right up until the end of the week before that next week's shipping, okay, well, what would you have available if I called right at the end of the week? This is how we generate that availability. So if you can see it in my slide, we put a gray bar across one of those lines of Calibracoa, and if you follow that across to the yellow, it says 10 right there. Well, if you look up, the yellow says over % spec. And what that means is we take some of our top selling varieties. You can see not every Calibracoa has the 10% in there, but you can see a handful of them do. We take our top selling varieties, we put this overstart in there, and that just gives us some product that we know is going to be above and beyond what we had produced for customer orders, and that's what shows up on that availability. You can see that on our website. You, of course, can call your Carlin rep and work with them. If you say, hey, I need to plant some more Calibracoa baskets, what's available? What does Mast have? They can check for you as well. But I just wanted to let you know we're in the business of growing those extras so that when you find some extra room in your greenhouse, or you have an earlier sale of a product than you expected, and now suddenly you've got some extra hanging basket drippers available, please talk to your rep and look to Mast Young Plants to fill that gap. So the next few slides here are the ones where I'm going to talk a little bit about what differentiates Mast Young Plants. So you can see the title of this slide. It says Innovating Department. And then I say on here, why an innovating department? You know, what's with that name? And one of our core values of our company is constant improvement. And to work on constant improvement, you have to have somebody trying to evaluate, where do we need to improve? What needs to be improved? So our commitment to this is we have 2 full-time employees. We have an innovating manager who's worked as a grower in our company, has a Bachelor of Science in horticulture. She's the one who heads up this department, and their priorities are to look at shrink reduction, new varieties, and quality improvement. So here's an example. I said a success, double stuck euphorbia. Not every rooting station is going to do this. Euphorbia is a tricky plant where when the cuttings ship to us, frequently they're very sensitive to ethylene, and they'll drop a lot of leaves and look yellow. For whatever reason, we've played around with double sticking them, and it just seems like it works better. So this is to show you that, you buy a euphorbia from us, you're actually getting 2 plants in that cell. And by doing that, we've reduced our shrink and improved our order fulfillment. This slide, if you look at the photo and then the closest to you, or the bottom of the slide, you see one row on that tray that's just kind of out there by itself. And this tray was called by Blackmore, who we buy it from, they call it an orphan tray. It's maybe not the best name, but what we're doing with this tray is that little one row will break off. So when we stick the cuttings, we take 1 bag of cuttings from the farm and we stick them in this tray. It's split 51, so it's 102 cells. But then if you add those 6 across the end, you're actually at 108. Now, we don't always get 108 cuttings in every bag, but frequently we get 106, 107. The counts aren't always exact from the farms. So what we do is we take 1 bag of cuttings and we stick this unit, the 102 plus the 6. Sometimes we're missing 1 or we're missing 2, but the goal is whatever we put in that little extra strip, the orphan, we will use those to patch the other 251 strips. And by doing that, there's no net loss to any trays. If we didn't stick this orphan, then we would say, oh, we got to patch the Bacopa. We better go get a split 51 and start using it as our patcher tray. And if you've got 3 or 4 ladies patching, they all have a tray and they all start using it. This way, every tray that passes by our patching crew, they break off this extra and they fix the misses. And then they will use all, even if one tray only had 2 misses and this orphan has 6 plants in it, they'll keep that and they'll use it if needed at the end. Sometimes we actually end up with extra plants and those do get discarded, but in the end, the goal is to have very low shrink and improved order fulfillment. Another thing we do, which I think is unique to us, there's just not a lot of young plant companies that are pushing this. We actually, that bottom paragraph on this slide says, we really led the charge to convince the stock farms to offer cuttings this way. It wasn't even an option. If you look at the Bacopa on the right, that was stuck from a pinched cutting that we received. The one on the left would be a standard cutting. And we just believe this is a better way. The cuttings branch, they take right off, they look good. It gives you the plant you want as a customer. You want that plant that's developed. You can see it looks like there's even a flower on that left branch on the pinched one. So that one not only branched, it's already hit maturity to be in color. So this is just something we feel real strong about. It reduces our requirement for PGRs on the liners. And our goal is just to send you a better liner that's going to perform well for you in your finish containers. This slide here, I mentioned I was almost going to change the picture out because I've been looking at some stuff this year in our trial garden, but what I want to say here, what I want to point out here is more about how our catalog has a lot of varieties in it, but we don't carry every variety. And sometimes people ask me, like, why don't you have every Sanguna petunia? And we really take the time in our trial garden to look at what we can do to make sure what we're offering is the best. And sometimes that means, we look at 3 speckled blue petunias and say, hey, this one is way better than the others. We want to push people into the better genetics. So basically, I want you to know that if you're missing something in our catalog, it may mean that we've actually looked at other similar varieties and feel that there is a better option out there. So that's what I wanted to get across here. Another thing we're pretty excited about is this little thing called a grow coon. Kind of a funny name, but it's basically a propagation system or method. The common thing used in the industry right now is called an pot, which is like a paper wrap around the soil. This is kind of like a microfiber mesh, and it holds that soil together. You can see the picture, that's my hand there, of that Lismachia. It holds it together so that the roots can just poke right through the mesh and pull easy for you. So we've found these to be very good. They're very easy for you as a customer to pull out of the tray without breaking them off or damaging the roots. And we bought a machine that puts these into the trays. And this past liner season, 2021, we did about 1 million grow coons. For 21-22, we've purchased 2.5 million. So if you buy liners from us, you might start to see this. We did get comments from people on the ones we did this past year, and we got some very positive feedback of people who were quite interested in it. So it's just a good new thing we're working on. We're not ready to be done with pots, but we really think this can help us on some of those lightly rooted crops. This photo was from our trial garden last summer. Senecio Angel Wings has kind of become a very popular variety. It's just it gets big, nice big silvery leaves, but it's really hard to get cuttings of it. And I wanted to mention that we're working on this from tissue culture. And tissue culture, it can be tricky, but this variety does well from tissue culture, and it makes a really nice finished plant. It makes a nice young plant. This is the kind of plant people use year round. Some people are even putting them with poinsettias, and we will root them year round as well. So these are a neat variety. And again, our innovating department worked on how do we propagate them? How can we get them to work from both tissue culture or cutting? Another thing we've been working on and seeing some success with is just LED lights. Again, not a new thing in the industry, newer, but as we put in LED lights, it just seems like those plants really respond well under them. So we put some in this past season. We installed them last September. We ran a lot of trials under them this year, and we were really pleased with the results. We plan to install more of them this September and just keep adding them to our greenhouse. In that picture on the left, there's a euphorbia. I talked about it earlier being a double stuck, and you can see those are double stuck because that's our protocol. But if you look at the one on the right, that was grown under LED, and on the left would have been just a standard, maybe high pressure sodium in the greenhouse. And just look at how compact and strong and bushy that plant is. The one on the left is okay, and it's rooted fine. You can see lots of roots, but if I'm buying the liner, I like that one on the right, that nice compact. We didn't put any PGR on that, and it just made a great plant. The bottom slide is kind of fascinating to me because we've been doing more and more lemongrass the last few years. People are really interested in that plant, but it does not like our Michigan cold, dark winters. And this slide, I didn't focus on the top growth of the plant, even though they did look different. And you can kind of see it if you look at the foliage up there. I focused on the roots. So those are the same age. The one on the left would have been just standard greenhouse lighting that we've used in the past. The one on the right would be LED. And again, that plant was, you can see the foliage was darker green. It was compact. It was bushy. But the best thing to me was just look at those roots. It was something you could pull out and just looked really nice. So LED lights will continue to get added at our location, and we will continue to try to raise our quality by using them on crops that really benefit from them. Okay, so we're kind of done with the innovating section, and I'm switching gears a little bit just to focus on, what other things we do to help you as a customer. I put you talk, we listen on this slide. Just trying to find things that can help you as a grower in your greenhouse beyond just a rooted geranium liner. What other things can we do to help you? So the first one is I point out some flash sales we do, and we call this. What this is, and you can read the text in there, but what we do is, say this past year, in the winter of 21, we work with breeders and find items they're going to release for spring of 22, but that they have a few rooted liners of, or excuse me, unrooted cuttings available of. We root the liners. We tell Carlin, your broker, hey, we make those flyers down there and say, these are available. Like, send them to your customers. Let them know that they can get a sneak peek at what's going to be new. And these went over very well. We sold a lot of liners of these. It's just kind of fun for, I think, you as a grower or maybe a retailer to say, oh wow, this Hello Yellow is very interesting to me. And then you get some in from us in 21. You grow some pots of it, see what your customers think of it, see what you think of it, and if you're pleased with it, it's like, okay, I definitely want to buy those in 2022. It just gives you a chance to try it before you fully buy it, if you will. So we will be doing these again this winter. We're meeting with breeders right now. We have a few trials at our greenhouse of 2023 items that we're evaluating. And yeah, I'm excited to see what we find and what we can put out there for this next year. This slide focuses on a pre-finished program that we're starting to sell. So this is in our catalog. We focus in this program on finding those items that maybe take a little bit longer for you to finish in your greenhouse. So maybe you're looking for something where you can say, hey, I don't really need to turn the greenhouse on until February 20, but boy, if I want to have Dipladenia baskets, or if I want to have some nice Boston ferns, I just can't get them if I wait that long. So on pages 106 and 107 of our new catalog, you'll find more information about this program, and talk to your broker sales rep. We did it, some of these in this past spring. Those photos are actually of the pots right as we shipped them, so that gives you an idea what size they were and what they look like. For more details on that, talk to your Carlin sales rep. Another completely kind of unique to us program is something that we call KWIK blocks. So KWIK blocks, we try to visually describe it the best we can with just these three simple pictures. This is on page 108 and 109 in our catalog, and there's a lot of text about it in the catalog on page 109. So if you have more questions, refer to that. But what this is I put a ruler on that picture on the left. So it's a 6-inch long by 4-inch wide core block in that nice little clear tray. We wet it and it puffs up, and then we transplant the three components of, like, say, a KWIK combo into that block. So the liner was rooted and grown for 4, 5, 6 weeks already. It's already been pinched. Then we take that liner and we pop it into this block, and putting it in this block. We grow it for another 4 or 5 weeks. We do like another pinch, some B9 Florel, and then the end product really is, it's really that block you see in the upper right. And I actually took this picture. I planted this. We took that block, put it into a hanging basket, and then grew it for 3 weeks more. And you can see how nicely it just filled that basket. Now there's not a ton of color on that basket, but I did this trial back in, say, March timeframe, so the light wasn't super good. If you do this in that April, May, that calibrachoa is going to be covered with blooms, and you're going to have a chance to potentially sell it very quickly. So this is a fun new program. Again, a lot of text about it on page 9 in the catalog. Feel free to contact your rep about that and ask them if this is something that interests you. Okay, so I got through kind of some of that, what's unique to Mast young plants. What do we do that's a little different than other rooting stations? Now I'm going to just lead you through a few of the things that excite me. I had a few people from the Carlin office in our trial garden this week, and I walked them through the new varieties, and we talked about some of these. Some of these I actually added to the presentation after they were here, just because it was something that was kind of exciting to them. So let's go ahead and look at these. So we have an exclusive for next year, and it's a sunflower, or a Helianthus. The name of it is Soul Seeker. So soul is the Spanish word for sun, so obviously playing off sunflower. Soul Seeker. And what this is it's a variety that's ever blooming. You can see that 14-inch pot. That picture was just taken last week. You plant it in the pot. The liner you get will be pinched, and it branches, and it just keeps flowering. And if you could dig into that plant and look at it closely, it will drop all the petals off those flowers, and you'll have that brown center. But the way the plant grows, it just puts another bud right over top of it, so it really hides that flower. You can deadhead it if you want, but it's not mandatory, and just makes a beautiful specimen plant. So that's an exclusive to us. The only place you're going to get that as a rooted liner would be through Mast Young Plants. Another exclusive we have is a KWIK combo, and that photo, I always worry when you see catalog photos and you wonder if they're Photoshopped. So that photo was actually an outdoor grown in a very hot and dry place last summer. That picture, the only photoshopping we did was it was sitting in a bunch of wood chips, and somebody was kind enough for me, who knows Photoshop, to clean that all up and just make it white around it. But the way that plant is growing, and the habit and the durability of this one taken, in August, it just has some great performers in it. Deco White is the petunia. It's great. Shortcake Blueberry is the other petunia, which is a great variety. And then that Lanai TriStar Verbena is just an excellent one too. So this is, again, only going to be available through Mast Young Plants. Okay, my next one here is just to talk a little bit about orange petunias. There is some movement there after they've been off the market for a few years. They are able to be sold again, and this one will come back from Duman. Petunia plus Papaya was one of their top sellers. I don't believe it's the exact same variety, because when all this happened and they had to go off the market, I believe they pretty much had to destroy their material. This would be new work they've been doing. So if you knew the old Papaya, it seemed a little bit darker orange, and I don't want you to be misled that you're buying the same exact plant. This would be a different version of it, but it is an orange petunia. And then we have one other one. In this photo, I took this pictures with my iPhone. It's really hard to capture it. It's a different color than the previous one. It does look orange. Looks red in this photo, but it's a definite, if you set it next to a red, you would know it's orange. This series is just a kind of a compact mounded series, and that's a just a quart pot we grew in the spring. We have it in our trial garden right now. I wouldn't say it's showing the best heat performance, even though its name is heat, but it definitely has that orange color. So something to consider if the orange petunias were something you're really missing. Speaking of orange petunias, this isn't a petunia, it's a pechoa, but this Super Cal Premium Sunset Orange has just been dynamite. And I use the breeder photos here only because of all things in our trial garden. We've had a woodchuck and it keeps eating this plant. So didn't have as good a garden photos. But when it comes to super cows, if you struggle with calibrachoa because of pH issues or whatever, there's a note on this slide that says greater pH tolerance. They have just enough petunia in them that you don't really struggle with that pH issue. So that's a variety that we're pretty excited about. This photo, I just took the picture on August 4, so that's yesterday from when I'm recording this talk. This is Surprise Yellowstone. I had this slide in the presentation already, but I was using a breeder photo, and I thought I'm going to go use the real one. So I took this yesterday and popped it in here before we recorded this. It's doing pretty well in the garden. It's keeping its shape. It's a nice deep yellow. Yeah, definitely looks like something to consider when you're looking for that deep yellow petunia. This plant, I should have put the breeder, or excuse me, my own garden photo in, but I just didn't snap one. It's very interesting. It's getting a lot of flags in our garden for people liking it. The plant in our garden looks a lot like this one. I wouldn't say the breeder photo here is inaccurate. It looks quite accurate to me. It's got those little yellow balls on it. It's not a super dense, thick plant. Like I see this as a thriller and a combo. We have it in quite a few combos in the garden, and it's just something, it's a different look. It gives a different look. So definitely consider this. I don't know that I would push it as like a quart item. I would more bring some in and grow them and then put them in the middle of your combos. I think you'll be pleased with it. So Calliope Medium Dark Red has been a standard, and it's probably one of our top sellers every year. That one would be on the right in this photo. That's just the standard Calliope Medium Dark Red. The one on the left is a new introduction, and it's called Medium Dark Red Dark Leaf. So that's a little confusing, but I guess it is. It's a long name, but the name is real true. It is the same color. You can see the flower colors are almost exact. The timing is the same. If you look at the one on the right, you got open flower, 2 cracking color buds. You look at the dark leaf, you got open flower, 2 cracking color buds. The only thing they tell me is that the one on the dark leaf is a little more compact, and this photo shows it. You can see it in the leaf size, so something to consider. This plant is a zone 4 hardy perennial, which we're not really growing it for that purpose because I hate to say it, but it kind of looks like it in your bed at your house. It could almost look like a weed. What we're growing it for is to bring that fern look to mixed containers in full sun. So this takes full sun, and it has that nice lacy ferny foliage. So we have it in a lot of combos in the garden. It's doing great. Just that's its purpose. We actually list it in our catalog as a fern. It's in the foliage section, even though it's truly an artemisia. So check that one out. Dahlia MEGABLOOM Pink Lemonade. Last year we had their berry version of this series, and they've added a couple new colors. This product's goal is really big flowers on a more, not compact as in small habit, but like say a gallon size dahlia habit. You don't need to put this one in an 8-inch. You're going to get that big XXL type flower, but you're going to get more of that, say, Hypnotica size that will work in a gallon. These are looking pretty nice in our garden right now. Mimulus Mai Tai Red. So this is something completely new and different. It is a summer heat-loving plant. The one in our garden is just getting better each week. It looks a lot like their breeder photo on the right. The ones on the left, I wanted to be completely fair and put this in there. Those represent a quart we grew, say, in May in the greenhouse. So they don't have as much flowering. They're not quite as attractive, but they do flower. They don't get crazy big or wild, and then they just really go into summer and perform. So I think we'll put this in our fall summer catalog for 2022, that maybe you want to grow it with some mums or something. That's another possible use for it. Um, Another yellow, not going to say this is that super deep yellow or whatever. It's just a nice variety. This one got probably 10 flags just yesterday from people in our garden. So it's called Sanguna Banana Candy. Sanguna is a well-known series. Banana Candy is kind of a pretty big flowered, aggressive variety. Main thing I want to point out here is it's very vigorous. So don't expect this one to fit in small pots. Use it in baskets. Know that it's going to need a little PGR. If you put it in a basket with another vigorous item, there's another petunia called Endurascape Lilac that DuraBloom Lilac has been an outstanding performer. And I've had a lot of people say, ooh, I'd like to mix those two. They both look aggressive. I think they would look nice. So Banana Candy, check that one out. Another more accent plant type thing, this Centuria Chrome Fountain. It's new to us. Biggest thing I've seen with this is it's slow growing. Know that it's slow growing. It's a great plant, but don't expect to see it just grow super fast for you. That would be my comment on that. These Spectra New Guineas, very interesting product. I would say, to me, when I'm trying to tell people how to use it, I say put this in a hanging basket and use it in the greenhouse. I think you're going to see earlier flowering than a standard New Guinea, and I think you're going to see bigger flowers. So give this one a look. It's doing well. It will work in sun or shade as well. Splash Dance was Danzinger's entrance into the speckled petunia last summer, and they have a new variety this year called Poppin' Pink. That picture with all the yellow is when it's very cool. In the summer, what we're seeing now is way more of that pink color with the yellow specks, but you don't get nearly as much of that yellow when it's warm. Funhouse Potpourri is a new series from Syngenta. The Funhouse will be a series that will be their version of, say, a Crazy Tunia, for instance. And Potpourri is just a yellow, red. It actually will look pink sometimes. That far right picture is pink. I've seen it in our garden in a combo with pinks, and it matches. It's just a really strange color to know what it's going to look like on any given day. I stuck this slide in just because this one has been very impressive. Just took the picture recently. I've been telling people in the garden, if you need a Nemesia and you're tired of the old ones that can't take heat, the Nessia series is very good in the heat, and this new color Inca has just been outstanding. So that's a brand new picture in August in Michigan, just performing excellent. Succulent, my message with this one is it's a succulent that gets big. It really grows. If you're tired of hens and chicks, sempervivums, they stay small. Echverias that stay small. This variety will get big, and it was a favorite in my home garden last summer. I had some that I played around with and just loved it. Here is not something new, but people have asked us for it. So we said, sure, we'll carry it. Just good old bridal veil. If you need it for a basket program, a foliage program, we're going to have liners of this for next year. Everyone asks us for trailing succulents. So we searched around. We found this variety called String of Pickles. It's looking great in the garden right now. It actually has little yellow flowers on it. In our garden, it's trailed all the way down a 14-inch pot to the ground, so it definitely has a trailing presence. And just know that if you need a trailer in a succulent combo, String of Pearls are great, but they're slow and they break pretty easy. This one here to me looks like a better option for trailing in a succulent combo. Verbena beets is a very compact series. So you see that huge pot in this picture, and then the plant isn't that big. This is for your growers or your customers or your retailers who are looking for just high density color on the bench, and you don't want a big trailing sprawling verbena. This one definitely gets the job done as a nice compact one. Another helianthus that we're adding for next year, it's not exclusive like the other one, but it's been in the market for a while. It's called Sunbelievable Brown-Eyed Girl. This one used to be in a Monrovia exclusive program, and it is now available to anyone, and we will be selling liners of it. That picture's by my house. I took it last week. I just wanted to show this thing is very vigorous. It's a landscape variety. It's not upright. It's almost trailing, spreading. I actually planted a row of blue salvia in front of those when I planted these, and as you can see, they've completely covered it and taken it over. So just know that this one, the spread is bigger than the height, 24 inches tall, 39 inches wide. So, and it has that nice brown ring in the flower. Okay, my timing looks pretty good. I'm probably used up enough time, and I'm really kind of on the wrap up part. I just want to show a couple pictures from our trial garden. Invite you, if it's not this year, if it's too late, come on out and make a plan to come see us in 2022. We really do our best to show all our varieties. It's right by the greenhouse. We have them in beds. You can see from some of these other pictures, we have a huge container section. We do a lot of combination trials, so there's always combos you can look at and see what you think of them. And we show the new stuff. We always show our new items out there. And then, like I said, Michael, our grower, he tends to make custom combos every year, and that's kind of a highlight for a lot of people. They really like to see those. So just a few more pictures of the garden, let you know that we're open. We don't restrict nighttime or weekend visitors. Nothing's locked up or chained. You can come anytime. We actually have a weekend and night visitor box out in our garden where it's a Rubbermaid. You can open it up, get a trial book, get a catalog, get a pen, and help yourself. So there's the last picture I'm going to show of the garden. And then to wrap it up, I'm just going to say, don't be afraid to call us. Our head grower talks to a lot of customers. If you have any cultural issues or problems, our customer service, like I said, is always there to help. Our shipping department, say you get in a shipment and you were on the truck and you were the last delivery, and you say, hey, I got another one coming in 2 weeks. Do I always have to be the last? Call us. Sometimes we only know what we know and what people tell us, and we really try to do what that says and say, hey, we're in this together. We put a lot of effort to grow the liners. We want you to have success with them. So that concludes my talk, and I thank you for your attention. I hope you learned something or you saw something that triggers a question for myself or for a Carlin rep. And thank you very much for your support of Mast Young Plants.